The following is a slide showing a theoretical model of the factors that mechanically affect the outcome of a pitch in baseball. So as you can see here, you have the strike, which is the ultimate or primary goal, which leads to the time that the ball goes to the plate and the path of the ball, which is further broken down to the horizontal velocities, the horizontal distance to the plate, the air resistance, vertical velocity at release, and the height at release, which further is broken down to the horizontal force, horizontal displacement, air density, surface of the ball, the spin of the ball, the anthropometry, position at release, and then we have, again, position at release, anthropometry, the torque on the ball, and the time that it takes. We will further break these down and describe what each segment, how each segment affects the strike or the pitch. In here, what we see is the purpose of a pitch is to try to throw a strike either by having the batter swing at the ball and miss, or by putting the ball in the strike zone without the batter swinging at it. The factor that determines the goal depends on how much time the batter has to react to the pitch and where it is placed in the strike zone. A strike is more likely to occur if the time is short and the path of the ball, place it in the strike zone. Now let us go on and through the path of time to the plate. The time it takes for the ball to reach the plate is affected by the horizontal velocity of the ball at the instant it leaves the pitcher's hand, the horizontal distance to the plate from the point of release, and the horizontal distance to the plate from the point of release, and the horizontal component of the forces exerted on the ball by air resistance during its flight. A pitcher with a faster horizontal velocity, a shorter horizontal distance to travel, and smaller drag forces or air resistance acting on the ball will take less time for the ball to travel from the pitcher's hand to home plate. Horizontal velocity of the ball at release is the most important factor in determining the time it takes a pitch to reach the plate. Most of the characteristics of a pitcher's technique are directed at maximizing this factor. At the start of a pitch, the ball is stationary in the pitcher's hand or glove, as mentioned earlier in this presentation. At the end of the pitching motion, when the pitcher releases the ball, it is moving very fast. During the pitching motion, the ball's kinetic energy increases. This increase in kinetic energy is a result of the work done on the ball by the pitcher. And work is a product of force and displacement. The horizontal velocity of the ball at release is determined by the pitcher during the pitcher's pitching motion and the horizontal displacement of the ball while the force is exerted on it. The faster the pitch results in the average horizontal force acting on the ball, and the horizontal displacement of the ball are greater during the pitching motion. The horizontal displacement of the ball may be greater if the pitcher is taller and has longer limbs. The other two factors that affect the time it takes for the ball to reach the plate are the horizontal distance to the plate from the point of release and the horizontal component of the forces exerted on the ball by air resistance during its flight. The horizontal distance from the point of release to home plate is limited by the distance from the pitching mound to home plate. And the distance from the pitching mound is, as we get older, 60 feet 6 inches. The pitcher's foot must remain in contact with the pitching mound until the ball is released. But the horizontal distance from the point of release to home plate can be less than 60 feet 6 inches, depending on the pitcher's photometry and position at release, which bears to mention that the flight time of the ball will be shorter if the distance is shorter. Now let us talk about the path of the ball. The path of the ball, which is the other segment that we haven't mentioned that is associated with throwing a strike effectively. The path of the ball also affects whether or not the pitch is, again, like I said, is a strike. The path of the ball after release is determined by its height at release, its horizontal and vertical velocity at release, and air resistance. We've already talked about the height of release by the pitcher's position, the height at release is determined by the pitcher's position and anthropometry. Air resistance is affected by the air density, the relative velocity of the ball with respect to the air, the roughness of the ball's surface, and the spin on the ball. The spin on the ball at release is determined by the torque exerted on the ball by the pitcher's fingers during the pitching action and the time during which this torque acts. The factors affecting horizontal velocity at release were discussed earlier, as mentioned, but the vertical velocity at release is affected by similar factors as the horizontal velocity. The average vertical force exerted on the ball and the vertical displacement on the ball during the pitching action are major key components to delivering a strike.
All right, part C is injury awareness and prevention. And I just want to highlight some of the reasons why pitchers injure themselves. And usually they come down to about 3 different factors. One is the overload, which is throwing too many pitches during one outing. Another common reason why pitchers injure themselves is overuse, which is basically pitching too often. And finally, what a lot of professionals see is that during preseason is a good time for pitchers to injure themselves because they often make the mistake of throwing too hard, too much, and too early. All right, well, let's take a look at a few intrinsic and extrinsic factors that occur in injuries that are related to pitching. First off, let's take a look at some intrinsic factors. Specifically in the shoulder area, there is a lot of rotary stress that can occur, and usually the injuries that present themselves are usually tendinitis and labral tears. Within the elbow region, we see a lot of tensile stresses that are involved, and usually the injuries that occur are, once again, tendinitis and ulnar collateral ligament tears. That may sound familiar to you because there is a famous surgery out there called the Tommy John surgery, which seeks to correct these tears. Finally, another intrinsic factor that we can see involves the abdominal area, and once again, this is from tensile stresses, usually from the sudden, violent, and rotations of the trunk. And usually, the muscles that are involved in injury are usually internal obliques.